Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're reacting to episode 14 of series 1 of Vinland Saga, and I just realized there's only 24 episodes. I thought there would be more, but no. And the fact that there's only a second series, I don't think there's ever been an announcement for the third, which is quite disappointing. I had a feeling this might happen, that I would get really invested in it, I would really enjoy the show, and then I'd get to the end and be like, oh, where's the third series? Where is it? So yeah, I don't think it's been renewed or there's been like no mention of it. It probably could be in the works because I can't imagine them just not finishing the show. But then again, it happens all the time. So it could just be that they go, nah, we'll just continue on with the manga. Unless the author hasn't got far enough with the manga for them to justify a series 3, or maybe they want to let the author get so far ahead with the manga so that they have like a series 3 and a series 4, that they're not doing a series 3 and then they have to wait like a substantial amount of time. But who knows? Either way, we got to see more of Canute and him biting back against Thorfinn, which I absolutely love. Their dynamic is going to be really fun to watch. I think they're good for each other. But we still haven't got Thorfinn going home yet, so I'm hoping Thorfinn does eventually go home. It's been like 14 episodes of me being like, is this boy ever going to go home? But it makes sense that he's probably not going to go until Askeladd is dead, because that's the whole point, because who's to say that once he goes home, he'll actually find Askeladd again? It makes sense, but I still feel so bad for his mom and his sister who are probably worrying for him. And we got to see Leif a couple episodes back looking for Thorfinn, and he thought he saw someone that was Thorfinn who was like a slave, but it wasn't Thorfinn. It was just someone who eerily looked like him, and he was like breaking down because he made a promise to Helga that he would bring her boy back, and he's just not been able to live up to that promise. And he probably feels like he's let down his best friend because Thor's died to protect his son, and Leif let him slip through his fingers. Not intentionally. Thorfinn's just a slippery little boy and was hell-bent on seeking revenge. So I don't think there was anything Leif could really have done to have ensured that Thorfinn didn't sneak out and get away from him. But still, he probably feels like he's let Thor's down in not being able to look after his boy and find his boy and reunite him with his mom. Oh,
神様、
okay.
どうしても私たちは清くなければいけませんか？あなたの言いつけを守らない者は天使でさえ罰せられると。
Who's she?
私のような者にあなたのおぼし飯はわかりません。
パンの支度を手伝っとくれ。
行く、今行く。
Okay, who are you? It maybe be someone that comes into contact with Thorfinn at some point?
あなたが天に差し私たちを見ていらっしゃることが私には重荷でした。
Or could it be that potentially when we see the axe coming down and it's like lifting back and all that blood, could it be in reference to her feeling like she's been maybe abandoned, that God sits up there and watches them but doesn't do anything to actually help them, and that she feels like she doesn't understand how she's expected to be pure and follow these rules and guidance? But the same doesn't necessarily apply to God because it feels so unrealistic. It doesn't feel like you can aspire to the kingdom of heaven when it doesn't feel obtainable. It doesn't feel tangible. It's too far away. It's almost like questioning what your father has been telling you that you need to abide by. It's a subtle way of doing it because there is the element of belief, but I think a lot of what she's maybe saying is that she maybe doubts the rules and regulations that have been enforced by Christianity, that she doesn't understand why she has to follow these because the kingdom of heaven seems so far away, and therefore by extension God seems so detached from humanity. So why does she need to obey someone that doesn't seem to care enough to be within obtainable reach? It's almost like a philosophical question, and I imagine it's a question a lot of people wrestle with in terms of religion. I was raised Catholic. I don't know really what I believe in. I'm kind of, I guess, agnostic. I believe in something. I just don't know what I believe in. I believe there is a higher purpose and higher calling, but I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say that I am a Christian. I don't know. I was raised that way, so I feel like a lot of it still is ingrained in me. But the older I got, the more I wrestled with this idea of so much pain and suffering being in the world, and there being this God that divines it, that allows it to happen, because everything is seen as being part of God's will, God's design. And I know people will argue it that it is free will from Adam and Eve eating the apple, that it is humanity's right to make that choice, and that's why God cast people out from the garden, because we couldn't live within that harmonious environment anymore because we obtained knowledge and free will. But then you also have to question, why would a benevolent, kind God condemn humanity for learning, for knowledge, for wanting to seek truth, if it wasn't almost tyrannical in the fact that in seeking knowledge, you question, you don't always abide, because you become more open and attuned to there being something else, something more. So it almost feels like, to me, as if humanity was punished for no longer blindly following God's rules and regulations. Because why would you punish humanity for wanting to be knowledgeable, and why would you deprive them of it? It feels almost cruel. So yeah, a lot of my questions sort of come down to, how can we say that God is benevolent and everything is God's will when there's so much pain and suffering in the world, and so many people live horrible, hard lives destroyed by war, poverty? And again, yes, you could bring this all back to the sin of man and humanity having free will, but at the same time, if God has the ability to wipe out the earth, right? To start it fresh, to start it clean, as he did with Noah. Why has he just allowed everything to continue as it is? I don't know. We're getting too deep into it today. This isn't a discussion about theology, more just my perspective on sort of what Anne was talking about. I can kind of relate to it a little bit in terms of believing in something, but believing that it is almost unrealistic and unobtainable to expect people to bend their lives to the dictations of a higher being.
願わくは我らをして汝に帰らしめたまえ我らの火を新たにして
So he's not on the drink this time.
ならしめたまえ
Or is this before he meets Canute?
あれだ
He's thinking back to his time in the
俺とこの兄
monastery.
貴がそうだ俺が背中を預けられるのはこいつだけよこの信頼関係は銀には変えらんねえな
Oh,
兄じゃ当たりきよまあ金額によるがな
the little rosy
兄弟
cheek.
の傷な当たり
私の想像する愛とは全然違いますけど
I mean, it's a form of love. It's fraternal love.
素晴らしいことだとは思います
But it's
あな
not
た方
love in
兄弟に
his
とって
mind,
は
right?
かけがえのないものなのでしょうねあなたは私の背後を守ってくださいますか
兄じゃとだからやれるんだっつうの酒漬け坊主に背中任せられっかよ
だから違う
すみませんが分かるように言ってくれやがりませんかね
Is he saying that, like, love is the willingness to sacrifice yourself for anyone? A bit like Jesus sacrificed himself for the love of humanity.
酒が好きなわけではありません
はあじゃあ飲むなよ
すみません
Stop drinking. No.
その船には戦士が一人乗
Oh,
っててな
fools.
これがもうめっぽう強かった俺らは総出でかかったんだがそいつ一人に30人が
And not one
あっちゅう間に
person
素手で
died.
叩き伏せられた結局そいつは俺らが仕留めたが後で損害を調べたら不思議なことに死者がいねえ野郎確か剣を帯びてたよな
Doesn't
やっぱ
matter.
俺ら舐められてたんだろうかつか戦士としての礼儀ってもんがお
You don't have to. Oh my god.
そのもの 他に何かしましたか？名は何と言いますか？
Like, this is love. Love for humanity, love for life. He didn't want to end anybody's life. He chose to be
本
a
当
different
の
type
戦
of
士に
warrior,
剣はいらない。と
which
かな
is
んとか
true.
ああ
The look of admiration on his face, I feel that. Force inspires everyone.
今のは当たりか愛か？
戦士。本
You're
当
just not going to answer the question?
剣は必要ない。本当の戦士。
Is it going to inspire him?
冬の入りっぱなにこんなに積もることを予想しろって方が無茶ですよ。
It's a lot of snow.
そんなこと言うとらん。わしは今貴様から月が離れとることを言うておるのだ。私の手下は修羅場をくぐってきてるんです。この程度のことじゃビクビクしませんよ。
Yeah, but they're mostly sailors. It's different being on land.
月の落ちとるときは何をやっても裏目に出ず。ラグナルだ。何をそんなにためらわれるのだ。
Who says luck's not on his side, though?
略奪は我らノルド人の伝統でしょう。
Oh. Is this going to be Anne's village that we saw at the beginning? Yeah, it's the similar tree.
誘惑に合わせず悪よりお救いください。国と力と栄
It's
え
so sad because we know that their village is about to be raided and attacked. And we saw the bloodied axe, so we know that there's going to be quite a lot of death.
お祈りしないとどうなるの？
そりゃあお前、不信心者は死んでから地獄に落ちるんだ。
地獄は悪魔がうようよいる怖いところだぞ。嫌だろ悪魔。
I mean, you might see the devil in a couple of minutes.
でもお祈りする良い子は天国へ行ける。よく覚えておきなさい。
もうじきみんな天国か地獄に連れてかれるなんて。
家族がバラバラになったら嫌だわね。
どうして神様は急にこの世をお裁きになろうとするの？
急じゃないぞ。大昔から決められてたんだ。つまり20年後。神様のお裁きで悪党はみんな地獄行きだ。
俺知ってる。
Okay, so that imagery must be alluding to Dante Alighieri's poem, because in Dante Alighieri's poem Dante's Inferno, there is the mention of, I think it's like the most inner circle of hell, like the center of hell. There is a three-headed being that has the faces of the three greatest betrayers of history. So like Judas, Brutus, and I'm not sure who the third one is. Judas, we know, is the betrayer of Jesus. Brutus is the betrayer of Caesar. Who the hell is Cassius? Oh, okay. A primary assassin of Julius Caesar alongside Brutus. Ah, because Dante viewed the Roman Empire under Caesar as divinely ordained to bring secular order to the world. Therefore, betraying Caesar was considered an act of monumental treachery against God's plan, on par with the betrayal of Christ. Hence why Brutus and Cassius are alongside Judas Iscariot in the very interior central ring of hell. But it's just the imagery of that face that's making me think that that's what it's referring to, like God passing judgment, and then you have like this big face that's got like heads inside of it, or like a single head. Maybe I'm inferring something different, but I do know that like there are beasts that determine your fate in the circles of hell, and they judge where it is that you're going to go because there's layers to it. But I don't know, that face just kind of looked very Romanesque, and I think that's why my brain kind of went, oh, is that what they're referring to? But I don't think so.
悪党は天
おお、あいつら超悪。
Which is interesting, because there's some Danes that are
ご
Christians.
存知だったんだろうな。いいか、お前たちはイエス様の言いつけをよ
Oh,
く
we're
守
gonna
って。
watch this village be decimated by the Danes, aren't we?
どうしようどうしよう。悪魔怖いよ。
What's she hiding in the tree? I think we maybe saw what she was. It's a ring, okay.
いくらするんだろうこの指輪。今からでもお金払ったら
Oh,
神
she
様は許してく
stole
れる
it.
かしら。きっとあれは
That's
悪魔が
why
誘惑し
she's
たんだわ。
questioning her faith because she feels like she's done something worth going to hell for.
ないのに市場見物なんかするんじゃなかった。
Oh, girl.
私みたいな悪い子は
She's really beating herself up about it. She's gonna think this is Judgment Day when the
きっと
Danes
家族の中で
infiltrate and kill her family.
天国に行けないんだ。
Oh, what if she's the only survivor and then she really is gonna think that this is judgment for stealing?
うわー、左手にはめても素敵。
She's just a kid. I mean, like, I'm sure we've all thieved stuff before. Oh no, they're not gonna see her because she's outside.
さっきの話を聞いてなかったのか。ちゃんと良い子にしてないと神様が罰。
Fuck. Bjorn.
皆さん、逃げてください。
They're not gonna hear him over the weather.
天使がこのうるせえクソ者が。
He's just trying to protect them.
マジひでえもん食ってんなおい。
They're just poor kids. It's not their fault.
なあ、おい、おっさん。
She's dead, isn't she?
食い物全部出せ。殺すぞ。
It's freezing outside.
みんな捕まっちゃった。どうしよ
They're just peasants, man. They're trying to live their life and
あんたは王子殿下の教師で
it's
一応
awful.
この兵団の客だ。だが次邪魔をすれば
He's gonna get in your way again. He's not gonna be able to stand by and watch you do this. That's the thing.
わしらの言葉の通じる者はおらんか。
He does, and he knows. He understands what he's saying.
頼む。食べるものを半分。赤ん坊もおるんだ。どうか。赤ん坊か。そりゃ大変だな。冬越しの心配はしなくていい。
He's gonna kill them all, isn't he?
本当にか。本当さ。
Because they're all gonna
再
die.
来年ももう冬越しの心配はいらん。
Askeladd, what the fuck,
あん
man?
た方を苦悩から解放してやろう。
アシェラット、彼らは非戦闘員だ。
一人でも脱走されたら敵地の真ん中でもたついてることをチクられる。そいつはいただけね。
But they're women
穴掘れだな。
and kids.
詰めれば62人入るぜ。
This is cruel. This is awful.
王子殿下の御ためにはこれが最善ですよ。よし。
I feel like I'm gonna cry. It's just, it's awful.
やれ。
The women, the kids, the innocents. They didn't deserve this. Asgard, just when I was beginning to like you. And now I'm disgusted. Her whole family's gone.
「父ちゃんや母ちゃん、じいちゃん、弟や妹はそちらに着きましたか。
Poor girl.
やっぱり私のことはお召しにならないのです
She's gonna
ね。
blame herself.
そうよね。
And it's not her fault.
だって私ドキドキしてるんだもの。あんなにも悪い人たちがいるなんて。 あんなにもあなたの罰を恐れない人たちがいるなんて。
But you saw them with your own eyes.
私は今ドキドキしてるの。
What's she gonna do now that she's on her own? As if she survives the night, probably not. No, she did. The fuck? What the actual fuck? I get what he's saying, that like if any of them survive and tell the enemy we're here, all of us will die, but they're innocents, they're civilians, women and children and babies, and you just callously kill them. I just don't understand how you can't feel empathy for these people, that you have dehumanized them to such an extent that their lives don't have meaning or value. And the priest is begging, pleading for him not to do this, and he still goes ahead. Just when I like him, he does this, and then I'm like, I fucking hate you. I can't fathom ever being so callous and cruel towards other people and valuing my life over someone else's. I can't fathom it, because I have never thought that way. I've never felt like my life is more important than someone else's. And I understand what she means when she says that she feels elated, because she has spent all this time fearing punishment from God and being told that if she's not good, she'll reap the consequences and she'll be punished and she'll never get to go to heaven. And she's never seen others that aren't scared of the wrath of God, and she sees that for the first time. But that's because they don't believe in Christianity, they don't believe in God's punishment. But that reasserts to her that there is more to life than fearing a divine retribution. It almost alleviates her guilt in a way, that others more evil than her can live a life without fear, so therefore she can do the same. But she still lost her family in the process. But I guess there's also the hopeful idealization of religion, that your family are at peace now, that they're in a better place and that they're not suffering. But I wonder if she'll crop up again, or if she'll only be in this single episode, just more as a emphasis as to the brutality of invasions, but also the internal conflict that one has with religion. I'm kind of at a loss after that episode. I knew it was coming, but the tension and the pause, and you almost feel like your breath is being stolen from you. You're waiting for the blow to happen, and you kind of know it's going to happen because it's alluded to like right at the beginning with the axe being swung up. But still, you're kind of praying, you're hoping that Asgard will show mercy. But it's interesting that he's the descendant of Artorias, who is the basis for the legend of Arthur, who's known as being a benevolent, kind, compassionate king. And in this moment, he can't show compassion. But it just shows that he isn't this benevolent figure. He may descend from that bloodline, but there is no benevolence. And for someone that goes on about how much he hates the Danes, it's interesting that he somewhat buys into the idea that committing these acts is a mercy, that it is a noble deed. They're not what gets you into heaven. It's not how you get into Valhalla. You have to die in combat, but these are ways in which to obtain status. It is part of their belief system, which is in contrast to the Christians, who believe in showing mercy and kindness and forgiveness to everyone and treating your enemy as your friends, which is kind of what the priest was alluding to at the beginning of the episode when he's talking about, you know, you would defend your brother, but what about me? Would you have my back? No, because it's easy to love someone you know than to love a stranger. And that's the point that he's alluding to, which is something that Thors could do. Thors valued human life so much that he was willing to show mercy and spare those that saw him as the enemy, because he never saw them as the enemy. As he said to Thorfinn, you don't have any enemies. No one is your enemy. And he truly believed in that. And I think that's why the priest is so fascinated in him, because this is someone that valued human life so much that he was willing to show mercy to those who weren't willing to do it to him. They were happy to end his life, to kill him and take glory in it, but he couldn't do the same because he valued their lives more than they valued his, which is one of the fundamental teachings of Christianity, is to value all human life and is to show respect and mercy even to those that may hate you, and to find forgiveness in the face of adversity. And Foz may not have been a Christian, but he embodied what it means to be a Christian and to show love for another, to show love to the enemy, because he didn't see them as the enemy, but they saw Foz as the enemy, which is why the priest wants to know more about him, because the priest is basically saying it's easy for you to want to protect your brother, and yeah, it's a form of affection, but that's an easy thing to do. It's easy to want to protect someone that you know and care for. It's much harder to protect a stranger. It's much harder to protect someone that you have no affiliation with. And even in that moment of the village, he's begging, he's pleading for these people that he doesn't know. Yes, they're Christians and they share the same religion, but they're strangers. He doesn't know them, but he's willing to risk his life and speak out against what Askeladd is doing, even when no one else is willing to speak up for him, when he's being beaten and mistreated. He's willing to take that risk for people he doesn't know, because that's love in its purest form, is to sacrifice yourself for others, even strangers. It is to speak out against what you believe is wrong, even if it's a risk to your own life, because that's what Christianity teaches, that Jesus died for your sins. Jesus died for people that he didn't know. He showed the utmost love for humanity, that he was willing to sacrifice himself to cleanse the world of humanity's sins. He was willing to do that. And the priest was willing to speak up and try and save the others, even if it meant losing his life in the process. But that just shows the contrast between Askeladd and the priest. The priest can respect them regardless of their cultural differences, regardless of whether he agrees with them or not. He's able to still show kindness to them, but the Danes can't do the same. The Danes refuse to do the same. I'm just blown away by that episode. Nothing much really happened, but it just really emphasizes not only the cultural differences, but also reiterates to us the brutality of Askeladd and that he is only looking out for himself. We've had a couple of episodes where he comes across as this noble figure, and we almost start to buy into it, and this brings us back to reality. Askeladd is in it for himself. He's not this heroic, noble figure like his descendant. He is a cutthroat. He is only doing this in order to financially benefit. It's just that harsh return to reality, that harsh gut punch. I know why he did it. I can understand that. I just can't forgive it. That's the thing. I can't fathom how anyone can be so callous towards another person, towards another human life. And I think that's what throws me the most, is that you are so willing to see them as nothing more than a potential risk to you being discovered, that you couldn't possibly see them as people. They're a threat, like ignoring the fact that there's women and children and babies that you're just callously killing for no reason. Innocents, civilians. They're not warriors, they're not fighters, they're just peasants trying to get by on what they can, trying to survive a harsh winter. And you don't see that. You see them as a potential risk to you and your men, despite the fact that the likelihood of your enemy finding you in the snow is slim. And it's going to be really fucking obvious anyway that you were here, because it's an empty village. Yes, you've buried the bodies, but it's pretty weird, like a big telltale sign that something's off if there's no one in the village and everything's been disrupted, you know? I get what he thinks he's doing, but at the same time, it's just awful. I wonder if Annie's going to come back into it then, because I thought when she collapsed, that was it. She was gone. But she grasps the snow and she's like pulling herself up, but she's in the middle of nowhere with nothing around her, no food. If she survived, it'd be a miracle, but it would be interesting to see another figure who has had everything stolen away from her by Askeladd come back into it. That was such a gut-punching episode. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss. I don't really know what else to say. I was really blown away. Like the cinematography, the symbolism, the themes, the music, stunning. Absolutely stunning episode. A hard watch, but a really beautifully done episode. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!